Hanjo, the legendary steel predator, is inches away from clearing the entire game. He finally stands before the final boss, Demon King Parsa. The Demon King sneers with overwhelming arrogance. You crawled all this way, he mocks, only to realize you are nothing before my absolute power. Han just smirks. Shut your trap, boss. He readies his blade, channeling his aura to unleash the Empire Sword's devastating 12th form. Blazing flames erupt behind him as he launches into the sky. It is the perfect aerial strike to execute the Demon Lord. But inches from the fatal blow, a tragic system window suddenly pops up. Connection to the server has been lost. Han freezes in absolute horror. He is left completely defenseless before the final boss. Wait, timeout, stop. He desperately screams at the ruthless monster, hoping for some miraculous in-game pity. Obviously, the Demon King shows no mercy. A brutal flash of dark magic slices Han clean in half. The raid failed, screen flashes as the system forcefully boots him out. Meanwhile, sketchy goons have infiltrated his messy apartment. Finding him deep inside his virtual reality capsule, one absolute idiot decides to unplug the main cable. Han wakes up furiously, realizing his epic raid was ruined by a pulled cord. Bursting out of the pod with murderous intent, he grabs the clueless fool and violently threatens his life. He goes full pro wrestler on the guy, aggressively chokeslamming the poor idiot in a fit of pure gamer rage. He might look like a totally deranged gaming addict right now, but back in his prime, Han was actually a local legend. Whenever the people of Hanam City faced unsolvable problems, he was the ultimate fixer. He raked in massive cash, literally swimming in mountains of glorious wealth. But that lavish life grew boring. Everything changed when Protector of Humanity launched a revolutionary virtual reality masterpiece created by the super artificial intelligence Aquila. Han instantly dove right into this incredibly vast single-player role-playing universe. It was a mind-blowing experience, completely unlike anything he had ever witnessed in his entire life. To him, it was a breathtaking fantasy realm overflowing with magnificent magic and majestic god-tier characters. The addiction hit him hard. The once frugal Han instantly transformed into a totally obsessed gaming maniac. Sank into heavy debt, dropping a staggering 1 billion won on a high-end capsule. Then he shamelessly began blackmailing his old clients for extra cash. He ruthlessly extorted the trashy husbands he once helped hide dirty little secrets for milking their shady pasts dry. Using this glorious blackmail money, he dumped every single penny back into his virtual obsession. The furious goons scold him for casually gaming with a 1 billion won debt, mocking his delusional dream that a stupid virtual world will somehow make him rich. In reality, Han has been grinding as an in-game tour guide. This endless hustle forced him to clear the game repeatedly. Yet while he lies in his capsule all day, his real-life bank account is crying in the negatives. The thug leader begs Han to return to the underworld, desperately wanting their glorious money-making duo back in action. But Han stubbornly refuses. He declares he absolutely must witness the game's ultimate true ending first. Since launch day, 0 players have ever cleared the final stage. Reaching that impossible milestone is a hardcore gamer's ultimate honor. He kicks the nagging thugs out and forcefully bolts the door. With those annoying pests finally gone, he eagerly dives back into his beloved capsule. Plugging the sacred cable back in, he lies down. The familiar system voice chimes cheerfully as his consciousness plunges back into the virtual realm. But reality hits hard. His character is completely paralyzed from the illegal abrupt logout. A massive red warning flashes. He has been slapped with a brutal 22-hour death penalty. Han screams in absolute agony to the heavens, cursing his ruined cash flow. Suddenly, a mysterious voice chimes in from behind, casually mocking his tragic misfortune. He spins around, spotting an oddly adorable little girl who confidently introduces herself as Aquila. He proudly claims to be the almighty game master. Han bursts into hysterical laughter, refusing to believe this literal child runs the entire game. Aquila pouts, declaring that her cute avatar is just a basic system formality. Still, the skeptical Han refuses to buy her ridiculous story. Annoyed, Aquila snaps her tiny fingers. Instantly, the entire virtual universe freezes in place. Han's jaw drops, mistaking it for high-tier, time-stopping magic. Is that an SS rank skill? He gasps. But the smug admin casually shatters his gamer logic, revealing it is not a skill at all. He literally crashed the entire global server just to flex. With this terrifying display of administrative power, she finally forces Han to believe her. Aquila grins, dropping a massive bombshell. A hidden ultra-special event is launching to celebrate the game's 7th anniversary. An entirely new server map has secretly unlocked. The Game Master practically begs Han to create a fresh character and become its very first conqueror. Han sneers at the absurd request. He hasn't even beaten the damn final boss yet, and she wants him to start over from level 1. He is about to call her totally insane, until she casually drops the reward money, a mind-blowing 25 billion won. Greed instantly replaces his gamer pride, as his eyes transform into giant dollar signs. Aquila promises him the ultimate hidden ending awaits. She sweetens the deal with epic completion prizes. Before he can even argue, his real-world bank account pings with a juicy 30 million won advance payment. Hook, line, and sinker Han practically drools over the bait, pumping his fist as his monthly rent worries magically vanish. Our guy is absolutely hyped for this legendary hidden quest. Smirking Aquila triggers the system transfer sequence. Reality warps, dumping them into an endless void, facing a single ominous portal. She gestures toward the gateway, casually explaining that his glorious new world waits just beyond that threshold. Bursting with confidence, he grabs the handle. He cheekily orders Aquila to guard his 25 billion won prize, absolutely certain of his victory. He yanks it wide open, starving for that epic true ending. But mid-step Aquila mercilessly drops a massive reality-shattering bombshell. Oh, just a tiny detail she forgot. Dying in this supreme difficulty event means dying in real life. His hype instantly evaporates, but gravity has already claimed his plunging body. He plummets from the heavens, violently pinballing through thick branches before brutally face-planting into the dirt. Agony flares through his entire body. Wait, since when does virtual reality hurt this incredibly much? Then her cursed warning echoes in his mind. Hardcore mode is completely real, but our protagonist fiercely embraces the chaos. Except he just spawned into a total garbage-tier avatar. Groaning, he barely scrapes himself off the ground. Snatching a random branch for support, he pathetically hobbles through the menacing forest, absolutely cursing Aquila. Checking his system interface reveals severe dehydration. He is utterly flabbergasted by these astronomically cursed bottom-barrel starting stats. His pathetic endurance gauge is capped at a laughable 20 points. His mana pool is barely 3 points. Half a day of crawling around, and he is already facing a literal game over from thirst. His grand hero fantasy is rapidly crumbling thanks to this absolute joke of a physical vessel. By pure miracle, he discovers a crystal-clear stream right before his health hits zero. His fatal realism is truly terrifying. He practically dives into the water, chugging desperately as his critical health bar slowly regenerates. Gasping for air, he looks up only to lock eyes with a gorgeous woman bathing right there. His brain completely short-circuits. He stares blankly, letting the precious water comically drool right out of his gaping mouth. Ding! The system mercilessly penalizes his perverted excitement, deducting 1 precious health point for elevated heart rate. Before he can admire the view, a greedy system prompt violently blocks his vision, demanding premium currency. He is absolutely outraged. Even the legendary main character is blocked by a filthy paywall. Suddenly, a sinister coven completely surrounds him, aggressively demanding their ultimate entry toll. Mid-haggle, the terrifying hags brutally snatch him up, dragging him deep into their wicked territory. They toss him away like garbage, ordering him to freeze. Even that minor fall cruelly chips away at his pathetic health bar. Skeletal remains litter the cursed earth. Glancing sideways, he spots another miserable player shackled in heavy iron. The hags wander off to trap more victims, giving our guy a perfect window to interrogate his tragic cellmate. The rugged prisoner introduces himself as Rudy, a seasoned monster exterminator. Our hero confidently drops his alias, Valorstead Valor. He interrogates Rudy, asking how a professional got captured so easily. Turns out the poor guy took a wrong step while hunting and hopelessly blundered into their cursed domain. In a flash, the dark sorceresses completely ambushed him. Rudy asks for his story, but there is no way he admits his lecherous mistake. Rudy tragically sighs over his youthful doom, but panic is completely absent from our hero. He casually snatches a razor-sharp bone fragment nearby. He smirks, declaring these impossible scenarios are his true specialty. His brilliant gamer mind enters overdrive. Bingo! While those hags brew their toxic stew, a genius escape strategy perfectly locks into place. Wait, he personally authored the ultimate survival wiki for these exact bosses. He spent 3 sleepless nights analyzing their every weakness. These are the legendary 5 witches of Havel, dark rulers of this very woodland: Gunda, Kaldura, Ulaida, Pugil, and Hijuju. Despite being low-level early bosses, these notorious hags have absolutely massacred thousands of newbies. But our veteran knows their fatal flaw. Their teamwork is absolute garbage. These arrogant sorceresses constantly sabotage each other in battle. A wicked, calculating grin spreads across his face, leaving Rudy completely terrified. It is time to trigger the ultimate chaos. He whips toward Pugil, dramatically gasping at the miracle of her continued survival. Pugil glares at him, utterly baffled by this sudden claim. Smirking, Han casually drops another bomb, saying he thought Hyoju had murdered her ages ago. Sweating bullets, Hyoju desperately orders the trickster to shut his trap. But the damage is done. A furious Pugil violently demands the ugly truth from our protagonist. You see, Pugil's greatest secret is her absolute boiling hatred for Hyoju. Gleefully pouring gasoline on this dumpster fire, Han casually mentions Hyoju, calling her total garbage. He even claims Hyoju plotted to assassinate her and loot her stash. Trembling with absolute rage, Pugil snaps her neck toward Hyoju, demanding to know if this madness is real. Panicking, Hyoju frantically tries convincing her teammate that this psycho is spewing pure lies. Her greed takes over, blindly demanding Pugil hand over her cash anyway. Sadly, stealing that loot was Hyoju's secret grand master plan all along. Our cunning hero exploits this perfectly. Meanwhile, a totally clueless Ula just keeps happily babbling about Hyoju's deadly acid bomb recipe. Next up is Gunda, an absolute glutton whose only personality trait is endless hunger. And Kaldura, she just wants to punch things. Total pandemonium erupts as these 5 selfish villains instantly turn on each other. Grinning like an absolute supervillain, our main character enjoys watching the coven hilariously tear themselves apart. Sweating intensely, Rudd stares in pure terror at this devilish mastermind. Thanks to the game's wiki, Han knows these wicked hags possess absolutely zero teamwork skills. Clueless newbies who try fighting this crazy dungeon boss directly always get their heads caved in completely. Our guy is a gaming genius. He knows these toxic teammates are ridiculously easy to manipulate into friendly fire. While the hags are busy ripping each other's hair out, Han whispers to Rudd that it is time to bounce. Rudd is utterly speechless at this epic psychological warfare, but before fleeing, our crazy hero decides to leave a parting gift. Flashing a psychotic smile, he violently shoves the squabbling idiots straight into their own boiling cauldron of mysterious dark soup. A glorious symphony of agonizing shrieks echoes around the room as they get deep fried. Dusting his hands, Han signals Rudd toward the exit. Instantly, system prompts flood his vision for dealing massive area of effect damage. This hilarious friendly fire tactic showers him with an absolute mountain of sweet experience points. Almost at the door, Pugil's sneaky pet snake suddenly wraps around him. The beast violently drags him back toward the enraged bosses. The furious witch tries to end his life, but her dizzy serpent hilariously keeps whiffing every single bite. Han struggles wildly, but his garbage tier stats leave him trapped. Luckily, the loyal knight charges back into the fray. With one epic Rudd brutally decapitates the scaly pest. Finally free, our protagonist quickly demands his sidekick's trusty bow. Baffled and doubting this weakling's archery skills, the swordsman blindly tosses over the weapon anyway. Snatching the weapon, Han violently pulls the bowstring back. His target, the sketchy potion bottle, balancing precariously over the bubbling cauldron. The arrow flies straight, completely shattering the glass. Turns out that was the highly explosive acid bomb Hyoju had been crafting. Realizing her own creation is about to wipe them out, Hyoju lets out a terrifying throat-shredding shriek. She screams about the triggered explosive, but their miserable fate is already permanently sealed. The chemicals mix, triggering a devastating blast that completely vaporizes the wretched hags. Our duo miraculously dives outside, just as the fiery shockwave obliterates the hideout. Hilariously, a random pebble bonks Han's head, subtracting exactly 1 pathetic health point. A glowing system panel congratulates him on unlocking an insanely disrespectful achievement. Witches are actually no big deal. Spamming his vision, the game rewards his chaotic strategy with an absolute jackpot of glorious experience and rare achievement points. While the swordsman praises their miraculous survival, our smug protagonist plays it off as simple beginner's luck. Overflowing with gratitude, the loyal knight rewards his savior with a legendary treasure, the mystical red dragon bone seeds. He admits to swiping them during the chaos. Grinning widely, Han aggressively chugs the entire magical pouch in one gulp. Boom, explosive energy courses through his veins, dramatically skyrocketing his pathetic stats. His laughable 20 health points suddenly explode into 200, alongside a massive tidal wave of other game-breaking stat buffs. While our hero loudly crunches dragon seeds like cheap candy, his new sidekick eagerly suggests teaming up for epic monster hunting. Right on cue, the mystical system interface flashes, unlocking an exclusive Monster Hunter questline pathway. Pondering for a mere second, our lazy protagonist bluntly rejects the quest, pretending he actually has important business elsewhere. Suddenly, cold sweat drops. He remembers he is totally jobless, and his massive mountain of experience points will tragically expire in just 1 month if left unspent. Doing an instant 180, the desperate gamer yells for Rudd to stop, suddenly begging for a 3-month intensive monster hunting crash course. Pushing his luck, he asks if 3 months is enough. The seasoned knight deadpans that mastering the blade takes at least 3 grueling years. For their first bizarre lesson, Rudd drags him into the pitch-black woods and simply commands his new disciple to hide. "I'll track you down in exactly 30 minutes, Rudd declared with absolute confidence. Han instantly realized the old man's game. This was the legendary monster tracking skill. Bursting with confidence, Han plunged into the woods. "Good luck catching me," he yelled. This was his turf, and he knew every single tree. Rudd didn't stand a chance. Like a total ninja, he parkoured smoothly from branch to branch. Total flex, obviously. He wanted to prove he ruled this forest like a boss. Mid-boast about his flawless map memory, Han froze. Rudd was already standing right there wearing the most terrifying jump scare face imaginable. Han completely wiped out. "How the heck did you find me so fast?" Seeing Han's mind blown, Rudd just smirked. That desperate curiosity, it was the perfect trigger for an old master wanting to pass down his secrets. Push past your limits, kid, Rudd roared, firing up the ultimate training montage. System notifications spammed his vision. After surviving hellish training, Han finally unlocked the legendary Monster Hunter class. Ding Herbology acquired. Ding again Intermediate Swordsmanship mastered. He was becoming totally overpowered. Throw in survival tactics and musket shooting, and boom, his monster hunting mastery officially hit level 1. Fast forward 3 grueling months. Han was still draining every drop of knowledge from his crusty master. I've mastered it all, old man, Han bragged though. Rudd completely called his bluff. My turn to seek, Han challenged. Rudd chuckled eagerly, accepting the chance to crush his cheeky student's massive ego. If you fail within an hour, you're cooking dinner tonight, Rudd declared with a grin. Huron Han fired back already, tasting his sweet, inevitable victory. Rudd vanished into the brush, scaling a sheer cliff face. No way the kid could track him way up here. But halfway up, a hand suddenly clamped around his ankle. Gotcha, Han whispered from right below. Rudd nearly had a heart attack. Han was mirroring his exact creepy jump scare face from day 1. Refusing to accept reality, the master demanded a rematch. But Han easily sniffed him out, speedrunning every single trial. Rudd was absolutely devastated. 5 years of his own blood and sweat completely eclipsed by a 3-month speedrunner. Desperate for a win, Rudd camped inside a sleeping hellhound's literal den. But suddenly Han materialized right behind him. Pro tip, Han whispered. Sleeping hellhounds wouldn't even wake up for a catastrophic earthquake. Absolute snooze fest. A sudden tap on the shoulder paralyzed Rudd. Did I pass? Han grinned. Defeated, the master could only nod. Rudd finally swallowed his pride, praising Han's insane 3-month mastery of the tracking arts. Han tried to thank his great teaching, but Rudd shook his head. No, kid. You're just a monster yourself. Little did the old man know, Han had secretly dumped massive experience points from witch hunting to max out his skills. Rudd praised his flawless memory, pausing in sudden confusion. Wait, I never actually taught you that weird hellhound trivia. Han just smiled mysteriously. He literally wrote the game's monster wiki, but that was his little secret. Bursting with proud mentor energy, Rudd declared that his freakish prodigy of a student would become an absolute legend. What's your next move, kid? Rudd asked. Making bank, Han replied shamelessly. Because in this world, cash ruled everything. Eyes sparkling, Rudd pitched a brilliant idea. I know a high-ranking mercenary. How about swinging a sword for cold, hard coin? Han's gamer brain calculated the odds. Mercenary work meant endless chaotic quests and fat loot drops. He instantly accepted. Grabbing the old man's hand, he practically vibrated with excitement. Point me to the guild. Chuckling Rudd tossed over a heavy, battle-scarred emblem. His very own retired mercenary badge. Flash this token, and you're instantly in. Rudd smiled warmly, wishing his crazy disciple a truly epic journey. Jackpotted with a god-tier starter package, Han's mind drifted back to a long-forgotten goal, actually beating this stupid game. The mysterious Aquila's words echoed in his head. The legendary hidden true ending. Log out button. Grayed out forever. He was totally trapped in this hardcore death game reality. But instead of crying, adrenaline hijacked his veins. He swore to absolutely demolish this system and unlock that true ending. As they parted ways, a blue screen flashed. Ding hidden quest, cleared the hunter's trial. Ding new quest, joined the mercenary guild. Meanwhile, far away, Aquila observed his every move through her scrying magic. She smiled. This crazy anomaly of a player was utterly breaking all expectations. Suddenly, Valpurga entered dripping in radiant gold. That human is quite the wild card, isn't he? She murmured, eyes glinting. Aquila slyly nudges Valpurga about crushing on our hero, but the strict goddess coldly replies that divine beings absolutely do not play around with mere mortals. Aquila swoons over his adorable face, though her friend stays completely unbothered. Quoting Aquila whines about her friend becoming a total buzzkill lately. With a heavy sigh, Valpurga confesses, her wild party days are long gone. Changing topics, Valpurga questions if our boy's massive debt is actually cleared. Aquila shamelessly nods, but the poor guy has zero clue, still sweating buckets in the tutorial. Honestly, Aquila just loves watching his desperate, energetic little struggles. Valpurga flat out calls her a total sadist, which Aquila absorbs like high praise. Is he a crucial chess piece, or just her personal sitcom? Valpurga demands answers, but the teasing goddess just flashes a mysterious dodging smirk. She literally just sits there, thirsting over him, looking ready to eat the boy alive. Meanwhile, our exhausted main character practically crawls out of the forest after a brutal 12-hour marathon. Pausing only to catch his breath, he marches straight toward the sprawling city ahead. His target, the legendary Mercenary Guild headquarters. Hitting town, he makes a beeline for the local pub, instantly greeted by 2 stunning waitresses. Flashing sweet smiles, they ask for his order, naturally expecting the classic beer and meat combo. Hot twist, he actually needs an info broker. The ladies quickly escort him to a booth. Everyone knows pubs are the ultimate role-playing info hubs. Drunk locals always spill the best tea. Surrounded by rowdy guys stuffing their faces with chicken, Han feels super confident about digging up guild intel here. Happy drunks equal loose lips, making this the perfect place for some stealthy snooping. Plus, flirting with the gorgeous staff is a massive bonus. Casually, he drops the name Lev Schultz into the chat. Instantly, the cheerful background music stops. The entire pub freezes in absolute soul-crushing terror. Han completely panics as a trembling waitress whispers that saying his name is strictly taboo here. When our hero questions why, she shakily replies that the man is a walking disaster. He tearfully explains how Lev dragged her boyfriend away, only returning him as a lifeless husk. Glancing over at the traumatized boyfriend sitting nearby, Han's jaw drops. The guy literally looks undead. Worse yet, the bar is absolutely packed with Lev's victims all staring into the void. Sweating bullets, our boy realizes Rudy just set him up a blind date with a total psychopath. The frantic waitress shoves him toward the exit, screaming that the demon is due any second. Han stands there, buffering, completely confused. Suddenly, a massive shadow completely blocks the sun. Enter Lev, oozing pure, unadulterated boss energy. Terrifying eyes lock onto the shiny mercenary badge on Han's hip. Recognizing Rudy's token, the giant confirms his old friend warned him about the fresh meat arriving today. Flashing a psychotic grin, Lev announces he desperately needed a new punching bag. Our terrified hero practically loses his mind processing this death sentence. Looking up at that monstrous smile, Han knows he is completely doomed. He silently vows to absolutely obliterate Rudy later. Getting dragged outside the giant gives him the rundown. Desperate Han demands to know his exact fate. Is he about to become cannon fodder in the epic clash between the Steel and Pessimut's factions? Lev casually waves off the dramatic slave talk, claiming he just needs a cute little travel buddy. Secretly, though, Han sees a massive golden ticket in this chaotic military draft situation. If he perfectly plays his cards with the legendary Steel predecessor, he might unlock sweet secrets about the other game guardians. Mid-monologue, Lev delivers a friendly slap to the back that instantly deletes 30 health points. Speak of the devil, the predecessor's majestic squad rolls up while Han instantly starts fanboying over joining them. Squinting harder, our hero notices the so-called glorious leader looks totally like a final boss. Dropping his jaw further, he spots the Holy Sister Knight Valperga riding right alongside him. Noticing her sudden stiffness, the commander asks if anything is wrong, but she quickly deflects. Han simply stands there, completely starstruck as they pass. Of course he recognizes her. She was his best party member in every past timeline. Tragically, though, she always met a gruesome end in every single game loop. No matter his strategy, her death was inevitable. Seeing him space out again, Lev grunts a question, but Han just shakes it off. Hidden behind a serious face, our boy makes a hardcore vow to shatter fate and keep her alive this time. Soon the duo reaches the rowdy mercenary training grounds. Sweaty meatheads filled the training grounds. With his notoriously rotten luck, Han froze as Lev announced a brutal sparring tournament to crown their new squad leader. To spice things up, cold hard cash was on the line. Han smelled the money but wisely chose to keep a low profile. "Get in there," Lev suddenly roared. Before our reluctant main character could even protest, Lev threw him straight to the bloodthirsty wolves. The mercenaries cheered like wild animals, eager to turn the scrawny newcomer into a human punching bag. Cold sweat drenched Han. His right to refuse. Completely denied. Next thing he knew, Han was staring up at a towering mountain of muscle named Max. Max smirked down at him. "One tap and your twig-like bones will shatter." Han let the big guy bark. The whistle blew, and Max launched himself forward like a freight train. Tearing through the air, he looked like a stampeding bull, out for blood. Han barely blinked. Wait for it. Bam! A single flawless counterpunch folded the giant instantly. The arena fell dead silent. Jaws dropped to the floor. Max was out cold from one tap. Han secretly thanked those red dragon bone seeds. His scrawny body now packed the brute strength of an ogre. Suddenly, the meatheads went completely crazy. Everyone rushed the ring, desperate to challenge the undercover monster. Smack, bang, crash. One strike was all it took to drop each of them. Just as the bodies piled up, Charles stepped in. This colossal behemoth had to defend their bruised mercenary pride. Absolute terror choked Han. Was this hulking raid boss even human? A suffocating, murderous aura radiated from the absolute unit of a man. Han was practically sweating buckets. Nope. Running away beat getting crushed to death. Log out, system error. He was totally trapped in this death game. Han pathetically begged for a timeout, but his pleas fell on deaf ears. Charles charged like an armored tank, exuding pure, terrifying pressure. Massive hands reached for his skull. Han froze like a deer in headlights before pure survival instinct finally snapped him awake. At the very last second, Han caught the giant's arm, grabbed his shirt, and hoisted the massive brute into the air. Boom. He slammed Charles directly into the dirt, blasting a literal crater and kicking up a massive dust cloud. The giant raid boss twitched and passed out cold. The crowd was utterly paralyzed with shock. "Where did you recruit this demon?" someone croaked out. Overnight, our cowardly hero became an absolute legend. His scrawny build held the terrifying power of an entire army. One more round, they chanted. But Han weakly waved them off, desperate to escape. Make way, Lev's voice split the crowd. As the commander approached, Han's soul left his body. Was he in trouble again? Instead, Lev proudly declared, "Behold your new squad leader for the upcoming war." Han's jaw hit the floor. The verdict was final. Boom. He was now commanding a troop of hardcore, battle-crazed lunatics. System alert. Mercenary quest complete. New objective, recapture the bloody front lines of Harheim Hill. Flash forward, and our reluctant hero was knee-deep in the chaotic war zone. Fighting for the Iron Margrave faction, Han was slicing through demonic orcs like a hot knife through butter. A flashback showed Lev aggressively tapping a war map during their briefing. He faced Demon King Pismuth's terrifying orc legion Lev had ordered. Your one and only mission, snatch the enemy commander's flag. The suicide mission was laid out perfectly. They had to smash the enemy's ironclad formation, back up their allies, and completely obliterate the opposing forces. But there was a catch. These weren't your average grunts. These were hopelessly arrogant elite orcs, boasting unmatched, monstrous strength and flawless synergy. They were the absolute nightmare of this kingdom. As squad leader, Han's job was literally to act as a meat shield, and right now, he was playing the part perfectly. His blade danced, slaughtering orcs left and right. But internally, he just wanted enough military clout so he could completely ditch these maniacs. Deep in the enemy camp, the orc captain received devastating intel. His invincible spear vanguard wiped out. Pure disbelief twisted his ugly face. That unit was the undeniable pride of his entire demonic squadron. Snatching the binoculars with a furious roar, he turned his glare toward the blood-soaked battlefield. The commander's jaw dropped. His scout wasn't bluffing. Over the ridge, Han's squad was actually celebrating having totally wiped out the fearsome orc spearmen. Sweating bullets, the panicked orc captain screeched. He frantically ordered his musket division into attack formation. Bang! A storm of lead rained down, but Han's crew already had their heavy shields locked tight. Han just chuckled at their pathetic choice of weapons. With those clunky guns, the greenskins would be forced to constantly shuffle their lines. He patiently waited for their reload phase. Right as the orcs clumsily swapped spots, Han's vanguard smashed into them like a freight train. The vanguard instantly crumbled. The stunned orc leader couldn't fathom how a pint-sized human like Han just obliterated their impenetrable defense. Every survival instinct screamed at the captain to run away, but his stubborn warrior pride nailed his feet firmly to the blood-soaked dirt. He stubbornly hoisted the glorious orc banner high, but that dramatic pose only painted a massive target on his back. Showing absolutely zero hesitation, Han and his ruthless squad completely shredded him. Han snatched up the enemy standard, sending an electrifying wave of absolute hype through his troops. But mid-celebration, a massive retreat horn blared. Their so-called allies were cowardly ditching them, leaving Han's squad stranded in the deadly kill zone. And if things weren't hilariously bad enough, a massive tidal wave of furious orc reinforcements crashed into the battlefield. Han was absolutely dumbfounded. Why were those useless cowards fleeing when just one more solid push would guarantee total victory? A panicking squad mate begged for orders, suggesting they toss the flag and sprint for their lives. But running away simply wasn't in Han's legendary vocabulary. In the blink of an eye, an ocean of greenskins encircled them. Leading this elite mob was the terrifying hidden boss himself, General Kalian. Oozing a mountain-like killing intent, Kalian ordered the puny humans to drop their weapons and surrender. Flexing his elite vanguard, the monstrous general offered a shady deal. Hand over the sacred banner, and they could walk away with their lives. But our boy Han wasn't born yesterday. He boldly threatened to shove their holy flag straight down Charles's sweaty underwear if they took one step closer. Kalian's blood pressure instantly skyrocketed. To the orcs, that banner was literally divine. Han mercilessly kept spamming taunts. He mocked the raging boss, declaring that nobody gave a flying crap about a worthless piece of cloth in a real war. He even swore to wipe his own backside with the holy relic once he won. This absolutely unhinged trash talk actually made the giant general flinch. Kalian hesitated for a split second, gritting his fangs before ordering his musketeers to aim. Boom! The general ruthlessly screamed fire. Han's eyes bugged out in pure shock. His brilliant bluffing strategy had completely spectacularly backfired. This made no sense. In every single game playthrough, this boss never risked shooting the flag. The first terrifying barrage of lead zipped right past their heads. Thankfully, the few direct hits harmlessly pinged off their heavy steel shields and thick armor. Sweat poured down Han's face. His gamer brain went into absolute overdrive, desperately calculating any possible glitch to survive this. He had been treating this like a virtual playground, but then Aquila's grim warning echoed in his mind. Game over here meant permanent death in the real world. Amidst the chaotic crossfire, his panicked party members were shrieking their lungs out for a tactical command. They hysterically pointed out the blindingly obvious. Their entire party was literally seconds away from a total team wipe. Suddenly, a diabolical grin crept across Han's face. His soft chuckles exploded into pure maniacal villain laughter. He violently snatched the signaling trumpet straight out of Charles's hands. Charles thought his captain had totally lost it. Honking that horn was utterly useless, since backup was literally miles away. But Han just told him to shut his flapping gums and witness true absolute genius in action. Deadly projectiles kept whizzing past their ears, but somehow, the glorious blessing of sheer plot armor kept them completely scratch-free. Pivoting away from their fleeing allies, Han faced the empty wasteland and blasted that trumpet with every single ounce of breath he had. His jaw-dropped squadmates frantically screamed that he was facing the wrong way. Han simply smirked, declaring everything was going exactly according to plan. He barked at them to keep their shields locked and stop questioning his totally unhinged tactics. He wasn't calling for soldiers. Han was gambling his entire life on Aquila's admin privileges. Surely the system wouldn't just let a premium VIP player permanently die here. Fed up with the stalling, Callion furiously commanded his spear infantry to charge and avenge their slaughtered brethren. The bloodthirsty mob lunged their jagged spears aimed straight at Han's throat, but right before the game over screen flashed, a mysterious knight soared through the sky above them. As the dust dramatically cleared, the legendary cavalryman revealed her true identity. It was Valpurgis. Crashing into the enemy lines, Valpurgis ordered Han's squad to hold the line. Her overwhelming charisma instantly reignited their burning will to fight back. Recognizing a worthy boss-tier opponent, Callion commanded his grunts to step back. He demanded a gloriously honorable one-on-one duel with the legendary knight. Without missing a single beat, Valpurgis accepted. She violently swung her greatsword with devastating force, but the massive general swiftly sidestepped the lethal blow. Callion mercilessly countered. Their heavy weapons violently collided, erupting in an ear-shattering shockwave and a blinding flash of pure aura. Watching from the sidelines like a total fanboy, Han was absolutely mind-blown. For an early-game NPC, Valpurgis's combat mechanics and weapon mastery were already breaking the power scale. Boom! Callion and Valpurgis clashed like absolute titans. Their monstrous strikes sent shockwaves ripping through the air. But Valpurgis was stupidly fast. She casually dodged his massive swing, launched into the sky, and planted a devastating knee straight into Callion's ugly mug. Blood exploded from his jaw as he clutched his shattered face in absolute agony. But his massive pride wouldn't let him whine. Instead, he just cackled, praising her monstrous strength. He actually complimented her insane sword skills, and her brutal talent for barehanded beatdowns too. When he demanded to know her crazy background, she just smirked. Her only loyalty was to the absolute divine. Callion flashed a bloodthirsty grin. Round 2 was officially on. Steel sang against steel. Callion unleashed a catastrophic smash, but Valpurgis vanished, leaving the solid earth totally pulverized. She soared like a striking eagle. On her descent, she unleashed a blindingly flashy-carving Callion straight down the middle. His heavy armor was completely shredded. Knowing his legendary defeat was sealed, he praised her epic duel right before eating dirt. The mighty giant collapsed before his entire army, sending pure, unadulterated terror through the ranks. Seeing their unstoppable boss get totally wrecked, the orcs tucked their tails and ran. Han's jaw practically hit the floor. He never expected that ridiculously overpowered general to get swatted like a fly. He stared at Valpurgis in absolute awe. Now he knew exactly why she was a living legend. With the monsters gone, she casually strolled up to Han. She offered a handshake, praising his insane guts. Han shook it officially, securing the elite warrior's respect. Han thanked his lucky stars for her. Without her crazy clutch arrival, his squad would be totally toast. Reality check. He wasn't the invincible steel predecessor anymore, meaning he seriously needed to stop using such suicidal tactics. His deep thoughts got completely interrupted by his noisy squad. They proudly handed over the epic enemy flag he snagged earlier. Boom. His street cred with the ragtag mercenaries just skyrocketed through the roof. Han was honestly baffled. Why was he getting all the glory when the whole team literally fought like mad dogs to survive? Grabbing the loot, he suddenly busted out a total supervillain laugh. His poor squad seriously thought he finally lost his marbles. Post-battle meant crazy tavern partying. They were totally devouring cartoonishly massive lollipop-sized steaks on the bone when boom. A girl suddenly kicked the door open. She zeroed in on Charles like a homing missile, yelling at him for joining a bloodbath and getting totally trashed. Han blinked in pure confusion. He nudged a teammate, totally convinced this screaming girl had to be Charles's angry daughter, but his buddy dropped a massive bombshell. Charles was only 15 years old, despite literally looking like a bearded mountain. Plot twist. The girl was his sister Baptiste. Suddenly, she locked her furious death glare on Han, blaming him for her brother's wounds. She violently snatched Han by the collar like he owed her loan shark money, but the gentle giant panicked, waving his massive hands. He swore their awesome captain was the only reason they weren't dead. He made it crystal clear. Without Han's crazy carry, they would literally be served on a silver platter as an orc's midnight snack. Suddenly, the whole tavern erupted. Drunk mercenaries chanted Han's name like a literal god. While Han blushed awkwardly, Valpurgis dramatically stepped into the chaotic room. She dragged the bewildered main character straight to the Harthiam outpost. The legendary predecessor was personally demanding an audience. Valpurgis flashed an uncharacteristically bright smile along the way. Han was seriously sweating, wondering why this icy warrior was suddenly acting so peppy. Next thing he knew, she casually ordered him to drop the stiff honorifics first-name basis only for this legendary duo. Riding shotgun beside her elite soldiers, practically bowed in worship. They knew his insane heroics had literally saved them from absolute annihilation. Watching her weirdly friendly vibe, the truth finally smacked Han in the face. Her core personality hadn't changed one bit. The only difference was their new dynamic. He was basically a dirt-poor mercenary now. A few heartbeats later, they reached the boss's epic pavilion. Inside sat the mighty predecessor himself, surrounded by snobby nobles and heavily armored tactical advisors looking super intense. Han instantly choked on the suffocating, monstrous aura rolling off this guy. The Absolute Unit introduced himself as Philip. Philip's booming voice praised Han's crazy guts. He literally compared his battlefield rampage to a ferocious, bloodthirsty lion. Han played the humble hero card perfectly. As a massive reward for his reckless courage, Philip dropped a bomb. He was gifting him 300 florins. Just for some crazy context, 100 florins could easily buy an elite spearman's total loyalty for an entire year. Han's eyes practically turned into dollar signs. He swore on his life to repay this ridiculously massive pile of cash, but the generous boss wasn't done. Philip casually asked if the greedy mercenary desired anything else. Han boldly threw out one final crazy request. Philip gave him the green light, and Han asked to reunite with his wild squad in Wittenberg, a sketchy city 10 kilometers away. Wittenberg was notoriously dangerous, buried deep behind enemy lines, but Philip just smirked and approved it, even throwing in a free wagon for the suicidal road trip. Han expresses his deepest gratitude, but Philip presses him again. Is there truly nothing else you desire? Any sane mercenary would take the hint and scram. Instead, Han flashes a cheeky grin. Actually, I do have one question. The room's atmosphere instantly freezes over. Yet Philip simply waves his hand, commanding the lowly soldier to speak. Han completely drops the bomb. What are your honest thoughts on this never-ending war? The nobles gasp, utterly scandalized. Han gets it, a filthy mercenary daring to talk high-level strategy, total blasphemy. But Philip just smirks, flipping the script. Why don't you enlighten us with your grand opinion? Han rubs the back of his neck. I'm no tactical genius, but there is one tiny detail bugging me. The peanut gallery of nobles bursts into hysterical laughter. Look at this clown. One shiny medal and he thinks he's a supreme commander. Seeing Philip's ego inflating from their toxic hype, Valpurgis immediately steps right into the crossfire. She bows gracefully. My lord, perhaps we should actually hear the man out before executing him. Philip's boomer uncle absolutely erupts. Know your place, woman. But Philip raises a hand, silencing the old fool. Watch your mouth, uncle. She carries the royal blood of the Bavarian predecessor. Show some damn respect. Han wipes a sweat drop. At least this arrogant lord respects a high-tier noble, Philip glares back. Spit it out, mercenary. Han's face turns dead serious. I smell an ambush. A collective shiver runs through the tent. Philip scowls. You better have solid proof. Oh, I have the receipts, Han replies smoothly. Demon King Pesmuth's entire playbook, it's literally just backstabbing and dirty traps. Just look at the Toa Kingdom War 10 years ago. Classic bait and switch. Think that was beginner's luck. He pulled the exact same rat tactic against the Margrave of Anhalt. Han desperately tries to spell it out. We absolutely cannot ignore his pattern. The guy breathes betrayal. Does Philip take this strategic goldmine seriously? Nope. His fragile ego shatters completely. Are you implying we have a rat among us? Philip roars. Han sweats heavily. Well, all the giant red flags point to yes. No offense intended, boss. I just really want us to keep our heads attached to our necks. Philip completely loses his mind. A suffocating, monstrous aura explodes from his body, terrifying both Han and Valpurgis. You draw breath only because I allow it, Philip snarls. Do not test my patience again, you filthy dog. Valpurgis steps forward to save him, but Han frantically bows. Message received loud and clear. My lord, forgive my absolute stupidity. With that, he practically moonwalks right out of the terrifying tent. Escaping into the fresh air, Han rubs his temples. Why was Philip acting like such a meathead? Past timeline leaders actually had brain cells. Han's gamer sense tingles. Something is massively glitched with this generation's steel predecessor. He mentally opens his quest log, reviewing this horribly twisted timeline. The red dragon bone seeds spawned way too early, and Valpurgis wasn't even supposed to unlock as a character yet. This whole playthrough is totally off the rails. Suddenly a looming shadow appears right behind him. She is panting like she just ran a massive marathon, having chased him down the moment he left. Han blinks in shock. Wait, did you sprint all the way here just for little old me? She gives a breathless nod. I came to apologize. She gasps for my master's completely toxic behavior back there. He was totally out of line. Please tell me. Is there absolutely anything you desire as compensation? I will grant any request, she vows. Valpurgis braces herself, fully expecting this sweaty mercenary to ask for something incredibly degenerate. After all, her family's massive wealth could buy half the empire. The possibilities were literally endless. Han violently wrestles his trashy thoughts back into their cage. Coughing awkwardly, he states, just a horse and a pistol. Valpurgis's jaw hits the floor. Are you serious? That's it. Sir, this is a literal blank check opportunity. Despite the heavenly premium offer, Han boldly locks in his embarrassingly humble choice. Look, I've always fantasized about being a cool cavalryman. A free horse means I can finally learn how to ride. And the pistol man, I just really want to shoot a gun. It's the ultimate romance for a guy. Valpurgis watches in absolute bewilderment as literal tears stream down his face. Why are you crying? These are tears of pure joy, Han sobs. With a heavy sigh, Valpurgis grabs his collar. Just come with me, you idiot. Han's face turns beet red as she drags him away. Flash forward to the grim battlefield. Philip's glorious army finally stands face to face with Pesmuth. Overflowing with arrogant swagger, Philip points his heavy blade. Prepare to meet your maker, demon. Pesmuth glares at Philip in sheer disgust. He begs someone to scrub this human before his weaponized breath claims another victim. Right on cue, a demonic lackey scurries over with the ultimate update. Their devious master plan executed to absolute perfection. Turns out this demon lord is holding a terrifying ace up his sleeve. Enter Hijaz, a chaotic nightmare in female form. Sure, she's an absolute psycho, but he arrogantly thinks he holds her leash. Suddenly, the wicked witch herself materializes, proving her terrifying dominance. The surrounding grunts immediately hit the dirt in sheer dread. He orders her to launch the ambush. But he nervously adds, maybe dial the psychotic weirdness down to a solid 2. Hijaz flashes a twisted grin. When have I ever gone too far? Literally every single time Pesmuth screeches, absolutely losing his mind at her sheer unadulterated audacity. The underlings sweat bullets, knowing full well what this lunatic is capable of. Moderate, yeah, right. Trusting her is like handing a toddler a lit stick of dynamite. Meanwhile, our main character Han tears toward the front lines. A sickening gut feeling tells him disaster struck. He's honestly mind-blown by his stallion's breakneck speed. Valpurgis didn't just hook him up with a premium ride, she tossed in a legendary healing elixir too. A miraculous draft that cures literally any mortal wound. Valued at a staggering 1,000 florins. That's enough cash to outright buy a literal mansion in the capital. Back at the clash, Philip arrogantly assumes he's crushing the demon lord. Spoiler alert, he realizes way too late he got played. In the blink of an eye, his vanguard is utterly annihilated. The horrific truth hits hard. His allied noble totally stabbed him in the back. The smirking traitor gloats about his flawless scheme. He's framing Philip for high treason against the almighty emperor. Philip's stomach completely drops. But surely, no rational person would ever swallow such an absurd lie, right? Wrong. The corrupt rat chuckles maliciously. The clueless masses will blindly swallow whatever juicy gossip they hear. Thanks to that dirty betrayal, Philip gets absolutely steamrolled by Pesmuth. The demon orders his capture, but right before the chains snap shut, Valpurgis crashes the party like a boss. Bam! She delivers a devastating kick straight to his ugly mug, practically caving his skull in. Flanked by her elite squad, our badass female lead barks out a command. Evacuate Philip from the hell zone immediately. They toss the useless commander onto a steed and sprint madly away from the chaotic slaughter. Bleeding Pesmuth radios his resident psycho Hijaz. The prey is entering her kill zone. Meanwhile, this absolute weirdo is busy tormenting her own demonic pets. Hearing the juicy target is approaching her, twisted playtime ends instantly. Her eyes gleam as she shifts into predator mode. Her rotting hellhounds are starving for fresh meat. The second Philip crosses her invisible tripwire, she unleashes the rabid undead swarm. Luckily, Han has already breached the perimeter. He instantly spots the mutated mutts. He casually slaughters the stragglers but frowns at their pathetic numbers. It clicks perfectly. The main undead tidal wave is currently hunting down Philip's squad. Let's be brutally honest. Han couldn't care less if Philip became dog food. His sole objective is rescuing Valpurgis. He whips the reins, pushing his mount to breakneck speeds. He must intercept Valpurgis before lunatic Hijaz sinks her claws in. Elsewhere, Philip's panicked remnant splashes desperately through a murky, treacherous swamp. Bloodthirsty hellhounds encircle them completely. Panicking Philip feels his magical core violently suppressed. He curses the Demon King for jamming his aura, Suddenly, a rotting beast lunges for his throat, but per usual, the glorious Valpurgis swoops in to babysit the useless lord. A flawless strike splits the beast perfectly. The coward stays totally frozen in terror. Valpurgis shields him, barking harsh warnings about navigating this insanely deadly death trap. Horror strikes as she watches a loyal guard get absolutely mauled by the monsters. She instantly prepares a rescue dive, but Philip violently objects. The selfish coward calls the dying girl necessary meat shield collateral for his own survival. Absolute disgust washes over her face. How can a so-called noble ruler act like such a pathetic, spineless scumbag? Bitter regret consumes her. Han was totally right all along. Trusting the main character would have prevented this senseless massacre. And because their luck is truly garbage, the psychotic Hijaz finally drops into the chat. Wham! Valpurgis is violently blasted off her mount, but does Philip stop to help? Nope. The coward speeds off into the trees. Smashing into the mud, she watches her pathetic commander vanish into the mist. What an absolute joke. This ultimate betrayal shatters any remaining respect she held for that garbage human. Now our heroine is completely cornered by the smiling freak. Hijaz is positively drooling to begin her twisted experiments. You see, the legendary title of Steel Predecessor grants its holder terrifying political power. They literally crown the Empire's next ruler. They are basically untouchable gods within their own borders. Messing with someone of her divine caliber is a supreme death wish. Hijaz orders the mutts to chase Philip. Now she can finally enjoy torturing the helpless Valpurgis. Hijaz taunts Valpurgis, playfully mocking the supposed steel legacy flowing through the poor girl's veins. The insult strikes a nerve, sending Valpurgis charging forward with blazing fury, yet Hijaz just smirks, utterly unbothered by the incoming attack. Hijaz casually sidesteps the wild strike, immediately retaliating with a vicious whip crack. Valpurgis shrieks in agony, which only makes the sadistic villainess smile wider. She openly drools over the absolute thrill of breaking Valpurgis, desperate to harvest a symphony of desperate cries. Valpurgis crashes into the chilling water, weeping hopelessly, while desperately wishing for Han's legendary ability to escape impossible nightmares. The night had reached her breaking point, but the twisted torturer was just warming up. Cackling like an absolute lunatic, Hijaz raises her weapon for another devastating blow. But suddenly an eerie chill fills the air. She slowly turns back, finding her prized undead hound lying completely lifeless on the ground. Before panic can even set in, Han materializes like a ghost. His explosive punch sends the villainess skipping across the water like a skipping stone. Valpurgis simply stares in jaw-dropping shock at her savior's epic entrance. A tearful smile blooms behind her battered visor, completely convinced that Han is a literal godsend. Naturally, our main character strikes the most badass pose possible, shamelessly farming cool points to win the distressed maiden's heart. Valpurgis finally collapses from pure exhaustion as Han casually strolls over. Meanwhile, the battered villainess aggressively shakes off the mind-bending impact. Her mind spins in absolute chaos. How did this random dude bypass her terrifying monster hound without making a single sound? Facing facts, she realizes this intruder is a total monster. Han turns his icy gaze toward the villainess smoothly, declaring that her pathetic little games are completely useless against him. Shocked by his confidence, Hijaz playfully calls him her bro. Instantly, an annoyed vein pops on our hero's forehead. Disgusted, Han demands she drop the friendly act while aiming his firearm squarely at her face. True to her twisted nature, the creepy lieutenant merely smirks at the deadly weapon. She mockingly dares him to shoot accurately, bragging that her lightning-fast whip will easily outpace any pathetic little bullet he fires. Han ruthlessly pulls the trigger. However, the surprise bullet narrowly misses the villainess's dodging skull. That slight miss proves costly. Hijaz fiercely closes the distance, landing a bone-rattling whip strike. She quickly ensnares our hero, using the tense leather to slingshot herself straight at him. She delivers a devastating, skull-crushing headbutt that practically caves in our main character's poor face. Following up her heavy fist, launches Han soaring backward into the dense forest. Refusing to yield, she violently snaps her deadly lash toward his reeling body. Tapping into his insane agility, Han flawlessly evades the storm of deadly leather attacks, dashes in wild, unpredictable angles, completely ruining her aim. The crazed antagonist's cocky laughter instantly dies as she realizes the monster is already within striking distance. Her arrogant chuckles morph into absolute horror as she watches this unstoppable demon closing in. As the supreme elite whipmaster of her squad, seeing some random dude flawlessly waltz through her ultimate attack completely shatters her fragile ego. Still, the stubborn villainess refuses to surrender. She desperately attempts to counterattack, but her fate is already sealed. Han completely vanishes from her sightline, ghosting right behind her back, before her brain can even process the speed. Dual-wielding a gun and a combat knife, our hero grins like an absolute psychopath. With a blindingly fast slash, he severely scars her face, permanently blinding one eye. Han glares with pure murderous intent, while the battered lieutenant freezes in utter shock, realizing her little game just cost her precious vision. Panic setting in, Hijaz realizes she urgently needs a tactical retreat to heal. She dramatically sprouts her dark demonic wings for an aerial escape. Unimpressed Han loudly roasts her cowardly attempt to flee. Glancing back, the cowardly lieutenant shamelessly declares that she never gambles her life on guaranteed losing battles. Suspicious of her calm demeanor, Han keeps his weapon locked on her flying figure, interrogating her escape plan. He confidently reminds her about his ranged advantage, but she practically snorts in his face. She smugly brags that evading supersonic bullets mid-flight is absolute child's play for her. Challenge accepted, Han coldly pulls the trigger. The exact millisecond the explosive shot fires, the cocky villainess immediately realizes she messed up badly. Faster than her reflexes, the piercing round brutally shreds through her side. She plummets spectacularly into the murky depths below, while Han stands gloriously amid the dramatic gun smoke. Han slowly approaches the defeated foe, loudly calling her a nuisance, all while making hilariously unhinged facial expressions himself. Licking his tongue in pure gamer fashion, our hero patiently waits to inspect his freshly secured enemy drops. Suddenly, the once sadistic lieutenant starts bawling like a miserable toddler. She pathetically begs for mercy, but her whining just massively fuels Han's burning annoyance. He bluntly orders her to drop the gross act and accept her doom. Dumbfounded Hijaz stares wide-eyed, completely horrified that her twisted, creepy charm failed so miserably against this guy. Ding. A glowing system screen magically pops up, congratulating our hero for officially crushing the terrifying Pesmouth lieutenant. Han excitedly secures epic boss drops, successfully claiming her signature whip and dark cloak. He also scores incredible stat boosts and rare potions. Naturally, our greedy hero absolutely rejoices over this glorious high-tier loot haul. After ensuring the creepy villainess is completely unconscious, he quickly retrieves the magical recovery elixir, desperately hoping to heal his battered knight companion. However, the awkward system instructions explicitly demand rubbing the glowing liquid directly onto the maiden's bare injuries for maximum magical recovery. With Valpurgis sealed inside her heavy armor, our guy realizes the inevitable. He literally has to strip it off. Sweating bullets, he aggressively banishes those unholy thoughts just to heal her. But wait, how did we get here? Flashback time, Han lost his dad super early. Then tragedy double-dipped when his hardworking mom suddenly collapsed on the job. Completely orphaned at 18, life hit him hard. Fast forward to 22, our boy survived by becoming a gritty underground problem solver. Need cash recovered, need protection from thugs. As long as the coins keep flowing, Han was your ultimate mercenary. During a shady client meeting, he discovers something insane. This guy was actually farming massive real-world cash through a video game. That totally triggered his money radar. The client hyped up this mythical virtual reality masterpiece, Humanity's Guardian. He described a staggeringly massive open world, where player freedom was absolutely off the charts. Plus, the absolute best part, it was absolutely packed with insanely gorgeous top-tier anime waifus. With over 1 billion logged users, the absolute top-tier rankers were casually raking in tens of millions of won. Han's jaw hit the floor. Getting filthy rich just by snoozing in a capsule and grinding quests? No way. The client practically begged him to dive in, but our hustler instantly rejected it, claiming his daily schedule was completely packed. Cue the perfect comedic timing. His phone buzzed with a text. His next appointment had miraculously canceled everything. Suddenly jobless for the afternoon, he finally booted up the game, and wow, the hyper-realistic graphics completely blew his mind. The chaotic streets were practically overflowing with life. He seriously questioned if he accidentally teleported into another dimension. Scanning the bustling fantasy city, the crazy part hit him. These non-player characters literally had visible pores on their faces. Trying to grab a quick snack, reality slapped him. Broke as a joke, the grumpy merchant aggressively shooed him away. Desperately checking his beginner inventory, a miracle happened. He actually started with 10 shiny florins sitting in his digital pocket. His miserly instincts screamed to hoard the coins. But suddenly, a tiny street urchin appeared, practically drooling over the sweet display. Clinging to his tired mother, the little guy's stomach was practically rumbling up a storm. Completely penniless, they could only stare. Feeling a sudden soft spot, Han sacrificed 1 precious florin, tossing a juicy apple to the kid. The tiny boy snatched that fruit, his face radiating pure absolute joy. The grateful mom bowed deeply. But our main character just shrugged it off, since it was literally just fake digital currency. Still, their heartfelt thanks hit different. Watching them wander off instantly unlocked a bittersweet core memory from his own childhood. He recalled being a totally obnoxious little brat relentlessly begging his exhausted mom for crispy fried chicken. A genuine nostalgic smile crept across his face. Hooked by that single interaction, his daily dives into Humanity's Guardian became an absolute obsession. Every time the harsh, real world crushed his soul, he instantly jacked into the server for therapy. Grinding quests became his life. Whenever real-world rage boiled over, poor, unsuspecting monsters caught the full brunt of his fury. Time completely melted away. A staggering 5 in-game years flew by in a blur, ultimately leading to his fateful encounter with Valpurgis. Rumors of his legendary combat skills reached Valpurgis. She boldly approached our overpowered hero, demanding backup against a monstrous beast. She totally manipulated him into joining by aggressively crushing his fragile male pride. Marching straight into the beast's domain, Han casually one-shotted the terrifying monster. Valpurgis's jaw practically unhinged in absolute shock. Absolutely thrilled by his insane damage output, she eagerly proposed a permanent alliance. A party request popped up, but our lone wolf hesitated. Realizing he needed actual motivation, she threw a massive piece of irresistible bait right on the table. A guaranteed recommendation to become an Imperial Knight. Hearing that massive prestige, Han slammed the accept button instantly. Speed running through the ranks, he evolved into the legendary steel predecessor. Standing before cheering crowds, Valpurgis proudly stayed by his side. She nudged him, asking how the absolute pinnacle tasted. Yet our guy remained surprisingly humble, knowing it wasn't just a solo carry. Showering her with praise, he openly admitted his legendary status was all thanks to her guidance. But Valpurgis just smiled, reminding the dense hero that he was finally reaping the peaceful rewards of his own hard work. Snap back to reality. Valpurgis was fully healed, but his face was totally wrecked. The classic comedy beatdown for stripping her armor. Staring at his completely bruised face, she asked why he went so far. Smiling through the pain, he confessed his love for this world. This digital fantasy was genuinely the very first place his hardened soul ever experienced true, untainted beauty. Valpurgis quietly announced she was heading straight back to the Holy Convent. Han totally grasped the politics. Her people desperately needed living proof she survived. Blushing slightly, she confessed she wanted to properly repay his massive kindness the second they finally reached safety. Heart racing, our battered hero instantly replied. He was incredibly pumped for it. Her creepy radar was already screaming that this guy was total trash. Upon reaching the holy grounds, Sister Angela instantly slams the gate in his face. Apparently, the entire convent was locked down under a strict emergency protocol. Completely rejected from the holy sanctuary, our poor main character was exiled to a shabby local inn near Lafelton. He pouted in pure frustration. His master plan was to finesse the glorious heart of the angel as his ultimate quest reward. This legendary relic was a holy treasure guarded fiercely by the convent for centuries. You're talking about an S-rank artifact. It literally yanks souls back from the afterlife. Basically a free one-up if a player ever bites the dust. While he greedily plotted, Valpurgis suddenly burst in, profusely apologizing for tossing him into this dingy motel. Catching him striking an absurdly bizarre pose, she questioned his sanity. His deadpan excuse, just doing some deep philosophical thinking. Suddenly, her playful tone vanished. She leaned in, preparing to drop a top-secret, highly classified bombshell that absolutely could not leave this room. Pumping his chest, he confidently swore his lips were sealed. Nobody in this world could torture a secret out of him. Breathing a sigh of relief, she dropped the absolute shocker. The Holy Reverend Mother herself had been corrupted by sheer darkness. His jaw hit the floor. He literally just chatted with Angela. But plot twist, Angela was no longer holding the top boss title. Margarita had claimed the Holy Throne, and Valpurgis suspected the treacherous Demon King was pulling the dark strings. He clutched his hair in sheer trembling panic. How on earth was that absolute monster still breathing? His brain totally blue-screened, completely zoning out her background chatter. Rumor had it. Margarita was the most absurdly overpowered woman in Imperial history. A walking, breathing juggernaut. She could casually vaporize a mid-tier demon lord without breaking a sweat, literally weaponizing the entire Holy Convent. It finally clicked. Letting a living nuke like her fall to the dark forces would be catastrophic. Leaping up with blazing enthusiasm, he nearly gave Valpurgis a heart attack. They needed to storm that convent immediately. With a smug grin, he boasted about being an absolute genius regarding demonic mechanics. Escorting him straight to the formidable Assistant Reverend Mother Angela, Valpurgis passionately pitched his wild claims. He desperately vouched for his loyalty. Instantly, Angela narrowed her terrifying eyes, realizing the classified tea had been spilled. The atmosphere grew incredibly heavy. A foul stench of betrayal lingered in their holy halls without a single doubt. Trusting a random sketchy dude? Absolutely not. She aggressively ordered him to pack his bags and scram. Valpurgis pleaded desperately, but Angela fiercely barked back. This high-stakes divine crisis was no place for a weak amateur. Stepping up like a true protagonist, he dropped the ultimate lore bomb. He had memorized the 7 sacred scriptures. Angela audibly gasped. Those ancient texts were penned by the legendary Saint Antonio himself, an ultimate holy guide detailing every single demonic weakness known to mankind. Slamming her fist through the poor oak table, she furiously demanded how a lowly scrub obtained such mythical knowledge. Doubt clouded her intense gaze, but he confidently smirked, swearing. He held the cheat codes to conquering this demonic corruption. Gritting her teeth, she finally caved. But she forced him to swear absolute unbreakable silence regarding this holy mess. Radiating pure, unfiltered bloodlust, she delivered a bone-chilling threat that made his soul completely leave his body. If he dared to snitch, she promised to personally obliterate his fragile existence in the most agonizingly brutal way imaginable. Suddenly encircled by absolute tank-like warrior nuns, he sweated bullets. Did Angela really just pulverize solid wood with her bare hands? Having never met the legendary boss herself, his imagination painted a terrifyingly gigantic muscle-bound behemoth. Sensing his trembling aura, Valpurgis sighed. Who wouldn't be terrified while trapped inside a terrifying circle of protein-chugging holy berserkers? Reaching the ominous grand chambers, a disgustingly thick, suffocating wave of pure demonic malice bled right through the heavy doors. Angela fiercely warned him to steel his pathetic mind against the creeping corruption. Leaving the heavy hitters behind, the trio cautiously breached the forbidden sanctum. With every single step forward, an incredibly dense, terrifying dark aura aggressively crushed against his lungs. Sweating heavily, he whispered to check on his companion. She casually smiled, completely shielded by divine goddess buffs. Her concerned gaze shifted to his pale face, but he stubbornly faked pure confidence. Finally, they reached the legendary bed of the Empire's strongest weapon. His brain short-circuited. Instead of a hulking, steroid-fueled titan, the mighty conqueror was literally just a cute, completely normal-looking girl. Catching his dumbfounded, utterly confused expression, Angela violently snapped him back to harsh reality. She angrily reminded him of their absolute desperation. They had exhausted every holy method before tragically stooping to hire a shady mercenary. She snatched his collar with such terrifying, monstrous grip strength that his system literally flashed minus 50 HP. Flailing and begging for mercy, he was unceremoniously dumped onto the floor. Coughing awkwardly, he grimly confirmed that the sleeping powerhouse was in critical condition. Being a holy priestess, Margarita was tanking way more agonizing pain than any normal human could ever endure. Han easily spotted this deadly truth thanks to the creeping black veins choking her pale neck. Han calmly swore he could still save her. But of course, this dramatic claim just earned him another violent collar grab. His crazy solution: simply use the convent's ultimate divine relic on Margarita. Yes, the legendary Heart of the Angel could pull off this absolute miracle. Angela gasped, realizing his completely insane plot. He wanted to extract the wicked darkness and use a human meat shield to seal it. Holy power and demonic curses clash violently. The brutal transfer process alone would instantly shatter Margarita's fragile life before the curse even faded. Han completely agreed. With the legendary angel's heart buffering the shock, he could pull off this crazy stunt flawlessly with zero harm. The Holy Sisters could not absorb it due to their divinity. But Han, as an unholy outsider, his body was the absolutely perfect, cursed vessel. Flashing a terrifyingly confident smirk, Han listened as Angela nervously doubted if his completely suicidal master plan would even work. Margarita's strict dying wish demanded 0 sacrifices. If someone died for her sake, she claimed the entire empire would face absolute ruin and total destruction. Angela fiercely respected those wishes, especially since this bizarre lingering curse was completely unknown to the Church. A mysteriously lethal and utterly terrifying dark hex. Could Han even survive this? Angela furiously demanded to know if he could handle being relentlessly haunted by a demonic curse for the rest of his damn life. Valpurgis nodded anxiously, but Han basically brushed off their intense worrying with utter confidence. Staring dead into Angela's eyes, he boasted about surviving the Great Holy War's darkness. Unburdened by holy cleric vows, he was practically immune to its corrupting influence. He pitched himself as a disposable nobody, making him the absolute best candidate. Still, Angela hesitated, dreading the brutal scolding Margarita would unleash upon waking up alive. Desperate to save her beloved sister, she finally caved in, giving this madman total freedom to do his worst. Snatching the legendary Angel's Heart relic, Han gleefully set his chaotic resurrection plan in motion. Sure, logically hoarding this overpowered divine relic for his own future use was the smartest play. But gaining an overpowered resurrected priestess as his fiercely loyal ally, that was the real jackpot. Sliding the relic ring onto his finger, he completely ignored Valpurgis, begging him to stop. His unyielding, stubborn aura instantly silenced Angela's remaining doubts. She forcefully stopped Valpurgis from arguing further. With the crazy preparations fully set, Han aggressively triggered the dark magic ritual. Gripping Margarita's head, he greedily devoured her corrupted aura, instantly teleporting his fragile consciousness straight into an endless pitch-black abyss of total darkness. Suddenly, a spine-chilling, monstrous voice echoed from behind, furiously demanding to know what fool summoned it. Han casually dropped his name and arrogantly ordered the ancient entity to break Margarita's deadly curse immediately. The darkness wildly mocked his mortal weakness. It violently tried crushing his spirit, but an impenetrable shield magically deflected the blow. The demonic entity completely panicked. It never expected this puny human soul to possess total immunity. Han savagely told the ancient horror to shut its mouth. Furious but utterly powerless, the darkness threatened to slaughter every single loved one Han had ever known. Oh, so the darkness wanted to play dirty. Han cracked a beautifully villainous smile. He smugly revealed his ultimate trump card, possessing the 7 sacred scriptures. That instantly hooked the furious entity. Han arrogantly narrated his insane journey of securing those god-tier holy texts. He literally bragged about fist-fighting death itself. Using this unhinged bluff, Han flawlessly blackmailed the primordial evil, aggressively forcing it to submit to his wild terms. Utterly defeated, the frustrated darkness growled out its own strict binding counter conditions. A shiny new system quest popped up. Han's insane mission: assassinate a massive hit list of terrifying demon lords directly loyal to the Grim Reaper himself: Kolak, Farza, Hersamok, and Amori. With the deadly deal struck, the furious darkness viciously injected its raw, unadulterated power straight into Han. The overwhelming apocalyptic pressure brutally shredded his mortal skin. For a terrifying second, Han genuinely thought it was game over. Ding, merging successfully complete. He just unlocked a ridiculously broken new stat, Absolute Darkness. Plus, he hit the absolute jackpot, a legendary new skill to summon massive armies of the dead. Oops, the sheer force actually killed him, but thanks to that overpowered ring relic glued to his finger, he just casually respawned back to the land of the living. Han cackled like a total supervillain, completely drunk on his absurdly cool new cheat abilities. He was now the absolute Necromancer King, effortlessly commanding liches, endless undead hordes, and terrifying bone dragons. Flexing his god-tier rank up, his pride skyrocketed. Suddenly, a teary-eyed Valpurus burst into the room, tragically mourning his supposed untimely death. But Han just flashed a grin, proving he was perfectly fine. Sobbing uncontrollably, Valpurus confessed she had frantically dragged his unconscious, supposedly dead body into her private room. Han expresses his deep gratitude, but Valpurgis immediately scolds him. She furiously lectures him about his reckless stunt, confessing she was terrified when he passed out. Gently grasping her trembling hand, Han promises he will never put her through that kind of heart-stopping panic again. A soft smile graces her lips, deeply relieved to have him safely beside her. Boom! An explosive crash outside shatters the tender moment. Thinking it is an ambush, they rush out only to find the nuns staring blankly at totally obliterated trees. Han drops his jaw in pure shock. Did that maniac Pesmuth randomly respawn just to declare war on the local forest? Suddenly, a familiar, chilling voice echoes behind him. Margarita casually mentions she was merely doing some light morning stretches. Whipping around to face her monstrous aura, Han freezes. This tiny powerhouse is casually lifting a massive tree trunk like it is a styrofoam prop. She playfully tosses the colossal log aside, nearly flattening the terrified spectators into human pancakes. Beaming with absolute innocence after almost committing accidental manslaughter, she cheerfully insists Han just call her Mari. Her ridiculous morning flex complete, Mari happily leads the traumatized group back indoors. Han sought this dark necromancy class to finally eliminate the corrupt noble Philip. Assassinating a veteran requires extreme caution. Mari's absurdly bouncy energy snaps him out of his tactical plotting, making him whisper to Valpurgis. Is she seriously always like this? His brain simply refuses to compute that the terrifying legendary necromancer is literally a child. Shortly after, the group descends into the deeply hidden sacred underground vault. Mari cheerfully announces that this treasure room is packed with cursed artifacts, perfectly suited for a cursed user like him. He tries thanking her, but Mari smoothly shoots her shot, demanding a romantic date instead. Dropping the cute act, she finally unseals the ancient vault. Han is absolutely loving the massive loot drop. He just needs to raid this convent quickly before beginning his deadly hunt. He hits the jackpot, stuffing his inventory with top-tier, absolutely broken legendary gear. Armed to the teeth with this overpowered build, he is completely unstoppable. He struts toward the stables to depart, but Valpurgis suddenly blocks his path. She shyly requests one last walk together before his departure, and he happily accepts. She confesses she feels incredibly comfortable around him, almost like they share a past. Ironically, the player knows they possess massive, untold lore together. Suddenly, the tension shifts. Valpurgis nervously asks if he is secretly curious about the face hidden behind her heavy iron mask. Being a total gentleman, Han plays it cool. He simply states he respected her boundaries, assuming she had a valid reason for hiding it. With a trembling voice, she confesses that a vicious curse left a hideous, permanent scar across her features. The exact origin of this dark hex remains a total mystery. To protect her, her uncle went to extreme lengths to conceal her identity from the world. Ignorant rumors spread like wildfire, unfortunately branding her with the cruel nickname, the Ugly Knight. Taking a deep breath, she softly declares she is finally ready to reveal her true face, simply because it is him. The heavy helmet lifts, unveiling absolutely breathtaking, divine beauty. She insecurely asks if she is a monster, but Han is already blushing so hard his brain has entirely short-circuited. Han is mentally screaming. Even after grinding through countless game loops, he has never actually witnessed her stunning face until this exact timeline. The romantic tension skyrockets through the roof when a blushing Valpurgis admits she actually brought him a parting gift. It is a priceless sacred heirloom from her noble family. She presents a stunning, ultra-rare necklace. Flustered by its obvious immense worth, a bewildered Han asks why she would casually hand over something so incredibly precious. Her cheeks flush as she whispers, it is a protective charm, a vow proving their souls will always remain connected. His heart does backflips. Smiling brightly, he fiercely promises to protect this precious accessory with his very life. Desperately trying to cool his burning cheeks, Han nervously stammers that he really should get going now. Classic rom-com chaos ensues, as they politely bicker over who should walk away first. Ding. The system suddenly alerts Han that Valpurgis's exclusive romance route is fully unlocked. Staring at the glittering system, prompt Han enters pure panic mode. He might actually end up marrying her. Later, traversing the eerie, shadowy woods, the mood crashes. Mutilated soldiers lie scattered across the blood-soaked terrain. Investigating the carnage, his gamer senses tingle. Philip's private forces definitely clashed with Pesmouth's troops right here in this wasteland. Analyzing the fresh blood pools and scattered corpses, he realizes this chaotic skirmish just ended. Flipping into stealth mode, he meticulously sweeps the deadly zone for remaining clues. Unsheathing his cursed blade, a sinister system notification suddenly pings. He has finally unlocked the ultimate necromancy skill, the power to command the fallen. Dark aura erupts, resurrecting the slaughtered soldiers into loyal vampire thralls. Han immediately commands his new undead legion to hunt Philip down. Showing off his strategic genius, he orders a minion to loot the bloody military uniforms. Perfect camouflage for his upcoming infiltration. Meanwhile, a terrified Philip cowers inside a ruined village. Suddenly, Han crashes the party, roaring at the top of his lungs like an absolute madman. Trying desperately to save face, Philip shouts back from his pathetic hiding spot. However, a panicked lackey aggressively whispers that they should definitely keep camping to survive this nightmare. Philip instantly decks the guy barking at him to shut his trap. This delusional boss actually thinks our main character is his personal savior. His troops total cannon fodder. He hypes up his battered squad, promising they will gladly serve under Han once this messy crisis blows over. Sprinting toward Han like a fanboy, Philip completely drops his pride. He literally drops to his knees, beaming with absolute joy. Meanwhile, his grunts are sweating bullets. Completely oblivious, Philip shamelessly promises our hero a massive reward for the rescue. Plot twist, Han suddenly blitzes the remaining soldiers. He casually pops their heads like watermelons before locking eyes with the stunned boss. With a chilling smirk, Han coldly announces that Philip has completely outlived his usefulness. Cue the absolute panic and pure dread. Philip instantly loses his mind. Bulging veins pop across his screaming face as he claims he is a mighty tiger facing a measly mutt. Han just chuckles at the insult, casually warning the arrogant fool that this wild dog bites back. Snapping, Philip violently draws his blade and unleashes a devastating ultimate strike. Our hero effortlessly backflips away from the lethal slash, but his poor undead summons get utterly pulverized. Realizing these massive minion losses are draining his precious mana, Han recalls his squad. Philip starts trash-talking, thinking he is winning until Han finally draws his legendary dagger. Both fighters launch into the air, clashing weapons with the most unhinged, psychopathic grins. Philip goes completely berserk. He relentlessly bulldozes through the battlefield, forcing our main character onto the defensive. Han easily reads this overwhelming aura. It is nothing new to him, considering he once wielded that exact same god-tier authority in his past life. His veteran instincts kick in. He knows this flashy sword art heavily relies on a reckless counterattack. Shoving our hero backward, the crazed boss screams that he will never leave this place alive. Han casually drops a lore bomb about having the ancient covenant's backing. Philip arrogantly barks that he does not give a single damn about any legendary treaties. Channeling his aura, Philip activates his next sword phase, levitating straight into the gloomy sky. Radiating a demonic presence, he dives down to one-shot our hero. The massive strike lands perfectly, but the actual impact hits like a wet noodle. It turns out his heavily battered body has completely drained his mana reserves to absolute zero. Spotting the massive opening, Han casually punts him across the entire battlefield. He coldly reminds the flying boss that the Covenant is nothing compared to his wrath. Crashing hard onto his knees, the broken tyrant helplessly drops his trusted blade. Crying like a sore loser, he claims he would have easily won at full health. He hysterically demands to know why Han is betraying his so-called generous favor. Our main character just stares in pure disbelief. This arrogant fool actually has zero self-awareness. Sighing deeply, Han decides to spoon-feed him the harsh truth. Strike 1, Han offered him golden advice, and this idiot literally tossed it straight into the garbage. Strike 2, he selfishly threw away Valpurgis, his most incredibly loyal and devoted subordinate. Strike 3, he cowardly allowed the innocent civilians he was sworn to protect to get slaughtered. Suddenly, Philip bursts into pathetic tears. He shamelessly argues his survival is absolutely necessary, claiming the commoners would be utterly lost without his glorious leadership. He whines that his death would only make the greedy nobles celebrate. Surprisingly, Han actually nods in agreement. Playing along with the sheer delusion, our sly hero offers this pathetic boss one final chance. Pulling a mysterious vial from his inventory, Han dangles a literal lifeline. He promises the healing item if Philip blindly accepts his ridiculous terms. Wagging his tail like an obedient mutt, Philip eagerly agrees to absolutely anything. Han simply orders him to kneel and beg his betrayed minion for ultimate forgiveness. Instantly swallowing his pride, the disgraced boss grovels obediently. Han extorts huge financial compensation for the victim's family, which Philip desperately accepts. Satisfied with the pathetic apology, Han finally hands over the murky liquid. Chugging it down like a thirsty animal, the boss instantly gags and coughs up blood. Plot twist. That was no health potion. It was the catastrophic venom of the poison dragon. Realizing he just got epically trolled, Philip loses his absolute mind. Flashing a villainous grin, Han coldly states it is officially game over. Even legendary demon kings would melt from swallowing that toxic cocktail. It is legendary loot claimed from a previous boss. Fueled by pure rage, Philip frantically grabs his sword for a desperate revenge strike. But before he can swing, a vampire brutally slashes his back. Philip freezes in absolute shock, staring face to face with his own supposedly dead soldier, Pip. His brain completely short-circuits, loudly demanding to know how a corpse is currently holding a sword. This is the exact same loyal grunt he brutally sacrificed to a zombie dog, shamelessly calling him acceptable collateral damage. Pip savagely confirms he totally died. But our overpowered main character granted him a magical respawn. Now his absolute loyalty belongs entirely to Han. Oozing a terrifying bloodthirsty aura, Pip towers over his pathetic former boss. He darkly announces that the karma bill for extreme arrogance is finally due. Pressing the icy steel against Philip's trembling throat, an execution is imminent. Suddenly, a glowing system prompt pops up warning Han that allowing this revenge kill will drastically alter the main storyline. A system warning pops up. Slaying Philip will completely shatter the game's balance. Ignoring the flashing red alerts, Han gives the absolute command. In a flash of steel, Pip ruthlessly severs Philip's lifeline. Massive error windows spam the sky. The impossible has happened. A guardian has fallen. Ding. The system aggressively warns our anti-hero. By defying fate, he just triggered a catastrophic difficulty spike. Panic. Nope. Han bursts into a villainous cackle. Everything is dancing perfectly to his tune. Up above, Aquila watches in absolute jaw-dropping disbelief at this utter madness. While Aquila realizes this nightmare just started, Han does a little victory dance. Slaying the boss just showered him with outrageously overpowered skills. Our scheming mastermind smirks, proudly drooling over the epic loot dropped by the late predecessor. 3 SSR skills, 1 S grade and 1 A grade, plus a shiny, mysterious drop item to sweeten the deal. Blocked by an annoying magical barrier, Han immediately delegates the heavy lifting. Mari will definitely crack this open. Ding, a Guardian's essence acquired just 4 more of these bad boys and he will evolve into a literal god. But there is a catch. Every Guardian he slaughters drastically weakens a massive ancient seal. Han strokes his chin. If he hunts them too recklessly, he might accidentally unleash an apocalyptic headache onto the world. His endgame reach total transcendence and solo clear this messed up world like a true gamer. Suddenly Pip bounces over, clutching a looted scroll. Han lovingly pats his loyal minion. Snatching Philip's hidden treasure was an absolute success. Pip cheerfully reports Phase 2 is complete. Philip's corpse is now cosplaying as a demonic casualty. Boom! They discover a trembling soldier cowering in the bushes, desperately sobbing and begging for mercy. Pip tilts his head silently, asking his master if it is snack time yet. A wicked grin spreads across Han's face. This desperate pawn is perfect. Soon after, Commander Lawrence's heavily armed squad marches straight into the bloody crime scene. The scouts rush over, saluting Lawrence with shocking news. They actually found a living witness. Lawrence quickly commands his medics to patch the guy up. That testimony is absolute gold. Moments later, the interrogation officially begins. Trembling the coward weaves Han's fake story. Demon troops ambushed them and stole Philip's treasure, while he pathetically hid in the bushes. Fury erupts. Lawrence violently smashes his sword into the earth, cursing his agonizingly slow arrival. Plot twist. To save face, Lawrence publicly spins this coward into a glorious textbook hero. He dramatically declares this survivor valiantly fought hellish odds to protect their fallen leader. They may have lost the skirmish, but their shining knightly honor remains entirely unbroken. Barking orders, he commands an endless search for Philip's body. Eventually, a grim Lawrence approaches the imposing Rose Palace to deliver his report. Bowing deeply, he admits their extensive hunt failed. Philip has completely vanished without a trace. His chilling superior demands the artifact. Gulping nervously, Lawrence confesses the treasure was stolen. His boss coldly snaps back. reclaiming that relic is absolutely vital to resurrecting Philip's legendary legacy. That item is everything. Lawrence tries to confess Philip's confirmed death, but his terrifying boss viciously shuts him down. Plot twist. He is secretly serving the sinister, drop-dead, gorgeous demon Lord Rose. Rose issues a terrifying ultimatum to the mutants. Surrender the stolen relic immediately or be wiped from existence. Meanwhile, mutant boss Pesmoth is having a total meltdown. The terrifying Mari has actually resurrected. He clutches his head in sheer panic. How did she casually shatter his supposedly inescapable death trap? His trembling is completely justified. Mari is a walking natural disaster capable of soloing entire armies. Flashbacks hit him hard. She totally obliterated Alepht's fortress, slaughtered his troops, and stylishly chopped his head off. And why? Because some grunt squashed her favorite snack. That legendary tantrum earned her the terrifying title, Margarita of Storm and Slaughter. Just when his anxiety peaks, an ominous letter from Demon Lord Rose casually arrives. Sweating bullets, Pesmoth whines about his massive ulcer, blissfully unaware that maximum panic is about to strike. He rips open the bloody seal. One glance at Rose's terrifying demands, and his soul leaves his body. His aide violently flinches at the screaming. Pesmoth shrieks that crazy Rose is threatening them over an item they literally do not have. The baffled aide scratches his head, completely lost. Why on earth would that psychotic demon blame them? They spectacularly failed to kidnap Philip, completely losing their target in the absolute chaos. Our guy finally connects the dots. Mari's sudden resurrection and the missing item aren't just coincidences, they're pieces of one shady puzzle. A light bulb dings in his head. There has to be a secret big boss pulling the strings behind the scenes. Cut to our so-called evil mastermind. Han is just having a breezy forest stroll with his skeletal buddy Pip, completely clueless. Han actually plans to revive Philip as a zombie later. Little Pip is hyped. He's finally getting an undead Kuhai to boss around. But honestly, Han only cares about the legendary loot he bagged. The golden jackpot itself, the Imperial Decree. Think of it as a VIP golden ticket. Stamped with the royal seal, it's the ultimate proof of royal succession. Scoring both the ultimate royal document and Philip's elite corpse, Han feels like he just pulled two ultra-rare items. He throws his arms up, screaming that the world is his. Pip happily joins in on the maniacal villain laughter. Elsewhere, some happy merchants are heading home after scoring big profits. Out of nowhere, Lawrence and his goons launch an ambush. Swish! A sneak attack arrow snipes the merchant's neck, instantly taking him offline. The bodyguards are totally outclassed, getting stomped by Lawrence's elite squad like level 1 noobs. Bam! Lawrence casually punts the guard captain into a tree trunk. He smirks, mocking the guy to go cry to Mommy Valpurgis. The jerk sarcastically tells the captain to go snitch to his precious uncle too. Back at the base, Han gets a massive critical hit to the heart. Valpurgis is serving treats minus her chunky helmet. Mari barges in and practically flatlines from pure fangirl shock. Even she has never witnessed the Holy Knight's bare, gorgeous face. Mari wipes a proud tear away. Our stoic knight is finally ditching the armor and blooming into a beautifully confident woman. Mari glares at Han, threatening to crush his skull if he makes Valpurgis cry. That demonic aura screams absolute murder, terrifying our guy. Switching gears, Mari seriously asks if Philip is actually dead. Han confidently nods, yes. Han admits he shoved Philip's corpse into his inventory. He asks if she feels bad, but Mari is just furious she didn't get the kill shot, sweating bullets from her terrifying bloodlust. Han awkwardly assures her that the trash is already taken care of. Trying to change the subject, Han announces he brought a special present. Mari's eyes instantly sparkle with greedy anticipation. He drops a massive clinking bag of shiny gold coins. He tells the snack-obsessed girl to buy out the entire bakery. Honestly, it's just the leftover pocket change he looted from Philip's dead body. Free money is free money, right? Bribed successfully, Mari acts like Han is a literal descending angel. She even tosses him a rare compliment, calling him super handsome. But Han isn't falling for her usual traps. He immediately raises his hands preemptively, rejecting whatever sketchy scam she is plotting next. Meanwhile, Valpurgis spots some juicy intel on the table. It's secret mail between Rose and Philip plotting a massive royal coup. Turns out Lady Rose and the current emperor are beefing hard over some serious tax drama. Mari chimes in, explaining that a spicy new economic blockade is just throwing gasoline on this royal dumpster fire. Han's jaw drops at the massive political tea. He demands they spill the details. Mari reveals the emperor is mercilessly seizing cargo from Rose's allied merchants. The knights and the guild are practically at each other's throats. The legendary White Knight actually raided the Ignis Guild. The whole messy situation is giving poor Valpurgis a massive stress headache. Valpurgis frantically tries muting the gossiping gremlin, but Mari keeps spilling the faction lore. Blushing hard, Valpurgis stops Mari, promising to properly explain the entire dramatic saga herself. This crazy imperial blockade is squeezing her own noble house. The mighty Byron family is totally caught in the succession crossfire. Later, a gloomy Valpurgis tells Han to just scrub his memory. She refuses to drag him into her family's toxic political mud pit. But Han is a true gentleman. Looking right into her eyes, he declares he will absolutely fight her battles. If it bothers her, it's his problem now. She feels incredibly guilty for dragging him into this massive catastrophe. Thankfully, Han totally reads her anxious heart and steps up. He knows this fierce holy knight is incredibly dependable on the battlefield, but underneath the armor, she's still beautifully vulnerable. Gently grabbing her hand, he smiles away her worries. He swears to fix this disaster, playfully joking that hiring a mercenary is just great for the local economy. Smirking confidently, he adds that his combat stats are heavily overpowered anyway. Valpurgis just blinks in pure, adorable confusion. The gamer talk completely flies right over her beautiful head. Later, Han kicks the door open, catching Mari aggressively stuffing her face with sweet pastries. He slams Philip's confiscated magic puzzle box on the table. He bets she can crack it open for a sweet double multiplier on her loot. Being the ultimate scammer, Mari immediately demands triple the loot instead. Knowing her genius, Han instantly shakes on the crazy deal. Popping open the loot box, Han discovers a pair of epic-looking gloves. The design screams high stats, so he instantly slaps them on. But what do they even do? He tries asking Mari, but she totally ignores him, lost in the bliss of hoarding her triple jackpot rewards. Leaving the convent behind, Han rides off into the scenic woods. Suddenly, his trusty steed Philly hits the emergency brakes. Han nearly flies off the saddle. Philly just casually turns his head proudly, presenting their massive destination. Welcome to the legendary city of Pullen. 3 agonizing hours of waiting in the entry queue later, our hero finally clears the city gates. Stepping inside, he immediately spots massive fanboy energy. Locals are literally waving banners, declaring love for their city. Pullen is a massive melting pot of magical races, entirely ruled by the legendary Demon King Kubalt. The citizens absolutely simp for their king. Every street corner echoes with people singing Kubalt's praises, like he is a trending K-pop idol. Kubalt used his galaxy brain knowledge to peacefully unite all these clashing cultures. That makes him the number 2 pro-human demon right behind Rose. Han is here specifically for a VIP meet and greet with him, because Kubalt is the ultimate puzzle piece for his master plan. Suddenly, a wildly cheerful goblin pops up out of nowhere, hyping up Han's unbelievably radiant god-tier aura. Han panics slightly. Does this random NPC recognize him? Nope. The little guy is just completely starstruck by the overpowered divine energy practically leaking out of Han. That is when it clicks in Han's head. He literally has an active SS rank passive skill equipped called Majesty of the Great Leader. It is a total cheat skill that wraps the user in a majestic blinding glow. Han smirks, glad his overpowered early investment is paying off. The overly friendly goblin asks if Han is a newbie in town. Han nods, casually dropping that he is here to score a meeting with Boss Kubalt. The goblin's eyes literally sparkle with pure hype. He declares that only top-tier legends like Han are naturally drawn to a boss like Kubalt. The little green guy claims he is also heading that way, offering to be Han's personal tour guide to the royal palace. Han triggers his inner suspicion but tags along anyway. Surprisingly, this random escort quest leads them straight to the legendary Kubalt castle. The goblin parks Han in the grand audience chamber, scurrying off to fetch a welcome cup of tea. Left alone, Han checks his system window. Wait, did his Majesty of the Great Leader skill just get a stealth buff? But it is only level 1. How did a basic street goblin detect such a high-tier aura? Shaking off the plot hole, Han decides to focus on the main quest ahead. Right in the center sits a ridiculously glamorous try-hard statue of Kubalt himself. Han chuckles. Talk about a massive Demon King ego. Boom, the goblin materializes with the tea, completely jump-scaring our main character. The goblin profusely apologizes. Han clutches his chest, begging the ninja goblin to add sound effects to his footsteps before causing a literal heart attack. The goblin shrugs, reminding Han that monsters have passive stealth turned on by default. When asked about his castle business, the little guy awkwardly blushes, revealing he is here to register his marriage. Flexing his newlywed status, the goblin takes yet another shameless opportunity to totally fanboy over Kubalt, but Han's main character instincts tingle. This goblin keeps calling the supreme ruler that guy, while every other local practically worships him. Time for a vibe check. Han smirks, pointing at the flashy jewelry, asking if that is his precious wedding ring. The little guy totally panics. Sweating bullets, he desperately covers his tracks, claiming he blew 10 years of goblin minimum wage on that shiny rock. Han drops a boss-level smirk. Time to hit this terrible cosplayer with a massive truth bomb. He slowly claps for the Oscar-worthy performance. The goblin plays dumb, but Han ruthlessly shatters the illusion. That exact shiny ring, it belongs to the legendary Demon King himself. Plus, let us review the absolute facts. Han entered this massive city in total stealth mode, but this quote-unquote random goblin instantly saw straight through his overpowered divine aura disguise. Caught red-handed, the goblin chuckles as the low-level illusion violently shatters, revealing his true magnificent final boss form. It was Kubalt all along. Kubalt slow claps, totally impressed by Han's galaxy brain deduction skills. The Demon King has been eagerly tracking our hero's legendary rumors. The king cuts to the chase. He bets Han is here for the chaotic server event currently totally wrecking Valpurgis. Han nods. He needs the ultimate cheat codes to solve this mess. Kubalt smirks, dangling the epic tier intel right in front of him, but of course it comes with a hidden quest condition. Han rolls his eyes mentally. Classic information broker behavior. A guy who hoards everyone's secrets never gives out freebies. He braces himself for some soul-crushing unholy contract. Instead, the terrifying Demon King extends his hand asking to be besties. Han instantly agrees to this weirdly wholesome deal. Kubalt drops a reality check. Han is basically the server's new main event. After soloing Hodge and unlocking max affinity with Valpurgis, every major faction has their crosshairs totally locked on him. For Kubalt, securing an alliance with a walking cheat code like Han is an absolute strategic masterclass. Squinting suspiciously, Han asks what this so-called friendship actually looks like in the Demon King's twisted dictionary. Kubalt casually tosses him a VIP communication ring for 24/7 speed dial access. Han stares blindly, utterly failing to read this unpredictable boss's actual endgame. Smiling deviously, his new demonic bestie drops the hook. He has some incredibly juicy, game-changing intel to share. The ultimate clue, hidden right inside Han's home turf, the glittering capital of Dresden. Han rushes straight there, flexing his double S-rank skill, Majesty of the Great Leader. The gate guards instantly crumble under his absolutely terrifying boss-level aura. He waltzes right in. Just one casual stroll and bystanders literally drop to their knees. He casually strolls toward the Bilia Trading Guild. Inside, a panicked servant screams to her boss that a walking disaster with an overwhelming presence is approaching. Han simply steps through the door, his sheer pressure paralyzing the poor girl. Even Guildmaster Bilia is shaking like a leaf, stammering about how this monster breached their defenses, but Han just flashes a business smile. He is only here to make a little trade. Thanks to his trusty informant Kubalt, our main character knows a juicy secret. The Bilia Guild holds a massive debt contract over the Rider Knight family. This spicy financial gossip completely blew Han's mind when he first heard it. Seriously, Kubalt's underground information network is absolute tier 1. Nothing escapes that guy's radar. But Kubalt also provided the perfect leverage. Bilia's precious daughter, Marin, is suffering from a mysterious bedridden illness. The desperate father leads Han to her sickbed, crying about how his little girl used to be a beacon of pure joy, until all her life force mysteriously vanished, leaving her comatose. Every elite physician across the continent tried healing her, but absolutely nothing worked. Devastated Guildmaster is hopelessly watching his world crumble, fearing the absolute worst. Q, the main character, Han, drops the bombshell that a cure exists. Instantly, the mighty boss becomes a weeping mess, begging for salvation. Smirking inwardly, Han reveals that this tragic illness is exactly why he proposed a deal. Checking her pulse, he puts on his best serious face. Her life force is fading. Normal potions will do absolutely nothing here. However, our brilliant protagonist knows one legendary method to shatter this curse. Bilia frantically screams for the answer. Han dramatically whispers two terrifying words. Gross Glockner. They need a mythical elixir from that godforsaken land. Hearing this, Bilia's soul leaves his body. Gross Glockner is practically a death sentence. Gross Glockner is notoriously dubbed the absolute realm of the impossible across the entire continent. It is the legendary Dragon Canyon down southeast home to the absolute calamity, the ancient dragon Tile. Tile is a literal, walking natural disaster. Its overwhelming magical presence makes even mighty demon lords run away screaming. Plus, the canyon swarms with terrifying demonic beast armies serving their scaly overlord. Humans and demons alike avoid this hellscape. But our crazy, loot-hungry protagonist, he is practically packing his bags. Turning on his Oscar-worthy acting skill, Han strikes a heroic pose, vowing to conquer the deadly canyon. Bilia frantically tries to stop this suicidal mission, but Han gently reminds him that his precious daughter is running out of time. Playing the noble savior, he tells Bilia to just focus on showering his girl with fatherly love. Drowning in dramatic tears, Bilia asks what this heroic sacrifice will cost. Han casually smirks. Not much. He casually brings up that massive financial contract with the Rider family. Just sign those sweet debt papers over to me? Bilia is utterly stunned by the business pivot, but Han lays on the guilt trip thick, reminding him of his dying child. Flashbacks of Marin's bright, sunny smile pierce right through the poor father's heart. Totally checkmated by parental love, the Guildmaster violently slams his stamp on the contract. With the loot secured, Han teleports straight to the infamous Dragon Canyon. Spotting some glowing mystic weeds, his inner alchemist gets curious. Like a true mastermind, he uses his noble steed as a taste tester. One sniff of the magic grass, and the horse is seeing heaven. The hungry stallion completely devours the shiny plant while Han gives it approving head pats. He casually warns his ride about the deadly zone, but acts super chill. His loyal underlings are already blocking the entrance from any pesky human interlopers. Plus, the ancient dragon's ridiculously dense magical aura mutates literally everything here, meaning every single rock and weed is worth an absolute fortune in gold. Han joyfully tosses magical dirt into the air. He is practically swimming in future wealth, ready to play the savior while completely robbing the ecosystem dry. Greedily munching on the magic salad himself, smack, a random rock violently bonks him right on the skull. He whips around furiously, only to face a massive, terrifying goblin army screaming at him to vacate their turf. And that hilarious cliffhanger wraps up today's chapter. Drop a comment screaming for part 2 if you loved it. Smash that subscribe button, hit the bell, and leave a like. Thanks for tuning in, and see you next time.